Now, you may have seen in the news recently that Boris Johnson received a county court judgment, apparently for £535 that he owed someone. Why is this a big deal? Well, it's a big deal for Boris because if he's got a county court judgment, it can affect his ability to get a credit card, loans, overdrafts, even get a mortgage or be able to rent a house in the future. And whether he's the Prime Minister or not, that's a big deal. So the question is, does Boris actually owe that money, and what can he do to clear his name? Despite its name, a county court judgment is actually issued by the online small claims court service. And it's issued if you either don't respond to the court's claim for the money, or you admit that you do owe the money but that you don't pay it. Now, you can get a CCJ if you don't respond to the court's initial inquiries within a certain period of time. And this is called a judgment by default. And I think this is what's happened in Boris's case. Now, if you ever receive a request for payment by the online small claims court service, you must respond and acknowledge that within 14 days, and then you have another 14 days in which you can actually respond with your reply. Now, in your reply, you can do one of three things. You can either say that you don't owe any money and why. You can say that you don't owe all of the money and why that is. Or you can say that you do owe the money and that you will pay it. If you accept the claim and you pay it within 1 month, then it will not affect your credit rating. Remember, anyone can make a claim online and say that you owe them money via the court service. That doesn't mean that you owe it, and it's down to them to prove that you do. As I said before, if you don't respond to the court's inquiries, then they will issue a judgment in default and say that you do owe the money. And this is how car park operators make hundreds of millions of pounds by collecting money from people through the small claims court service, regardless of whether their claim has any merit, because people don't respond. Now, if you don't agree that you owe some or all of the money, then you need to respond and say why, and that's called issuing your defence. Once the court service receives your defence, they'll then make arrangements to send that to the other side and also to transfer the case to a court that's local to you. Now, the claimant could decide to withdraw their case once they see your defence, so it's worth spending a bit of time putting that together. The court will then send you a date for a hearing where the judgment is decided. Now, forget all the courts that you've seen on telly or gowns or wigs. This is just a small office somewhere in a local town where it will be the other person involved in the claim, it will be you, and it will be the judge who decides it. All very straightforward. If either party doesn't turn up to the hearing, then the judge will still make a judgment, but if you turn up and the other side doesn't, that probably will stand in your favour. If the court awards a judgment against you, you can appeal that, but it will only succeed if the judge has erred on a point of law. So remember, you must respond to any small claims court summons. It doesn't mean you owe the money. Now, Boris's lawyers got his CCJ struck off because it had no merit, which means it's as if it never existed at all. So his credit rating is squeaky clean. But you don't have the luxury of an army of expensive lawyers looking out for your best interests. So here are 3 things that you need to do to make sure that you never get a CCJ. 1. Make sure that if you ever receive anything from the online small claims court, that you always respond to it within 14 days. 2. Make sure you always pay your bills on time, because you don't want to give anyone a reason to send you a claim for money. And 3. Make sure that you never, ever borrow money for anything other than buying a house. And why not check out this video on my top 7 tips for first-time buyers. See you next time.